deal out of here. When you get there, we're going to start at verse 1.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai.
Alright, so the children of Israel, they were down in Egypt, and they grew and became a big nation. And not only did they become a big nation, but the Lord had to come free them. And he did. Everybody know about the Ten Commandments. It come on every Easter time, is it? The Ten Commandments come on pretty much every Easter time. When the world put on Easter, they put on Jesus, and they put on the Ten Commandments. So everybody know pretty much the story. And that's from God. Not the director of the movie, but the fact that everybody know the children of Israel ran through Egypt with 10 plagues and left out of there deep, real deep. Lord had to open up the Red Sea. People make songs about it. He had to open up a whole sea for them to walk through. So they get through and they come out to the wilderness, and now God is setting up a nation. Now when he set up this nation, he gonna tell them some things. So go ahead and pick it up again in verse 1.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim, and were gone to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness. And there Israel camped before the mountain. And Moses went up unto God, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountains, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
So now we're going to pay attention, especially to verse 5 and 6. He said that if you obey his voice. So now, when he's talking to Jacob's son, he's putting a requisite on there. But that same requisite was the same thing that went for Adam to Noah, or from Adam to Seth to Noah to Abraham. And Abraham agreed that he was going to keep his covenant. From Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. And now he take the children of Israel and he gonna bring them out of Egypt as a nation. And when he take the children of Israel out of Egypt as a nation, he gonna give them the law. Read verse 6 and watch what he tell them here.
And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation.
So the type of people he wanted this black man to be was priests. He wanted us to be preachers. And I'll bet you money, there's probably more black preachers out here than white preachers. I bet money on that. Nah, that ain't something I read and found out and double checked on. But just riding around the neighborhood, just my visual eyes, man, black folks got churches everywhere. So we tried to feel our obligation of being the kingdom of priests. It just, we ain't have no knowledge with that. So at any rate, he said, and ye should be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. This is what he was creating. He gave them the commandments and said, I'm going to make you a holy nation. Let's go, and verse 8 said, all the people answered together and said, all that the Lord has spoken we would do. So they agreed to this, right? Let's go over to Deuteronomy chapter 4. Deuteronomy chapter 4. The children of Israel agreed to be a holy nation. This is what he was establishing with the children of Israel when they was down in Egypt and when he decided to grab them out of Egypt. Like I'm going to say, the Egyptians was a nation. Nimrod, he had a nation. Babylon is a nation. All these different, a nation is a whole group of one family of people. That's what a nation, that's why America, they don't really call this a nation. Because this ain't really like, it ain't like, oh, one nation under God. I know what they say, but, they say this the melting pot. Because we from all over the place. We got Italians, we got the Dutch, we got the German, we got the French, the Spanish, we got the African, we got the Asian, which by the way, he got broken down into Japanese and Chinese and Korean and Vietnamese. But all these people, and with all these names of all these countries, and then you got the black man that said, no, that's crazy. We don't even get to be called no country. At least they could call us, East or West African. You know what I mean? They could go that far with it, even though that's just a whole continent. So that ain't gonna help much either. But that at least give us a direction. They don't even want to do that. We black now. We done been all kind of things too. We done been colored. We done been all kind of stuff. We're gonna get into that though. Deuteronomy chapter 4, and let's pick this up at verse 1.
Now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live, and go in and possess the land which the Lord God of your fathers giveth you.
Okay, so now the children of Israel got this land that God gave them. And he said, look, all you got to do is keep these commandments and these statutes, and you can get this land which was promised to you, that I told your fathers I was going to give them. Let's skip over to verse 5.
Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither you go to possess it.
Now there was a man prior to this named Hammurabi. He was a great king in history. You go look up, you go in your history books, you'll see he was a Babylonian king. All right. Now this dude had a law called the Hammurabi Codes. Now the Hammurabi Codes was pretty good. It's a pretty good law. But the Lord say, I'll come later and I'm gonna give you a pure law. I'm gonna give you a better law than any Hammurabi code. All right. Go ahead and read verse. What you read? 5. Read verse 6.
Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations.
So he said, look, I'm going to make you a nation of kings and priests. He said, then I'm going to give you these commandments. I need you to keep them and do them. This going to be your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations. Go ahead.
Which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
Go ahead.
For what nation is there so great, who hath God so nigh unto them, as the Lord our God is in all things that we call upon him for?
So he's saying here, so what nation is so great that, God came and dealt with this nation face to face? He came down to the mountain and gave them commandments and wrote it with his finger. What it said, wrote with the finger of God. So what nation is there so great on the planet? Ain't none. But when you look for this nation now, where are they? See, because people lost sight of something. So much is given, much is required. That's in the book too. But go ahead, keep reading.
Verse 9. Verse 8. And what nation is there so great that hath statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day? Only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, unless they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. But teach them to thy sons and to thy sons' sons. Especially the day that thou stoodest before the Lord thy God in Horeb, when the Lord said unto me, gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. And ye came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire unto the midst of the heaven, and darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. And the Lord spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. Ye heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude. Only ye heard a voice. And he declared unto you this covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments, and he wrote them upon 2 tables of stones. And the Lord commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments, that ye might do them in the land whither ye go over to possess it. Take ye therefore good heed unto yourselves, for ye saw no manner of similitude on the day that the Lord spake unto you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire, lest ye corrupt yourselves, and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female.
Okay, that's good. So really, basically, we read that and we just learning there ain't no other nation get it like this. This is why when we say too much is given, much is required. Because this nation gonna get smashed after a while. But we're gonna go over to the book of Judges and we're gonna see the rise of this nation. We're gonna see the power that this nation had as a people. As an individual people even. Some of the greatest men that ever walked the face of this planet came from the black man. From the black man. The so-called African American. That's some of the greatest people, we can look at our present day history and we can look at some great men like, we can look at the fastest runner in the world. You know what I mean? Like, we can look at the greatest basketball player, or we can look at the best actors or something. You know what I mean? Like, whatever you want to, however the scale you want to put it, you can see that this people, is something about these people. Now, I heard a man the other day say the reason we so athletic is because, we were slaves and we was running around and all that in the backwoods. But I'm going to show you how athletic we was back in the Bible that. And this was before we were slaves. Or this was before we were slaves here in America. Because we've been slaves a lot. Matter of fact, the book say Israel is a home-born slave. That's all we know how to be is a slave. We've been slave. The black man been a slave on this planet more time than he been free. Well, so let's go to Judges chapter 3. We're going to start at verse 5. So we're about to start learning about the black man. See his place in history. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites.
So when they left Egypt, and the Lord gave them that promised land, it was some other nations that was still sort of there. And the Lord had a problem with that. Because we were supposed to get rid of them, so we don't start serving their gods. But go ahead.
And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, Hittites, and Amorites, and Perizzites, and Hivites, and Jebusites. And they took their daughters to be their wives, and gave their daughters to their sons, and served their gods. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and forgat the Lord their God, and served Baalim and the groves. Therefore the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of Chushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia. And the children of Israel served Chushan-Rishathaim 8 years.
Now what I learned in dealing with these scriptures is that, you know, every time we, in this time period, in the book of Judges, we're going to captivity when we do evil. Every time we do evil, he'll throw us a little short captivity. So this right here, it's a little 8-year captivity. And we're going to see Brother Othniel. He the first one that we're going to find that's considered a judge in the Bible. And that's going to deliver. It's not a judge like Judge Judy, where you stand up there with the gavel. We talking about a judge like a king, but we call him a judge. That's what we call, like, their job is like Judge Dredd. You ever seen that movie, Judge Dredd?
Yeah.
With Sylvester Stallone? Yeah. It's like he the authority. Alright? He the deliverer in this case, and he the authority. Because he going to kick against that evil. But anyway, let's read about Othniel. Go ahead.
And when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised up a deliverer unto the children of Israel, who delivered them, even Othniel the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he judged Israel, and went out to war. And the Lord delivered Chushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia, into his hand. And his hand prevailed against Chushan-Rishathaim. And the land had rest 40 years, and Othniel the son of Kenaz died. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord. And the Lord strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel, because he had done evil in the sight of the Lord. And he gathered unto him the children of Ammon and Amalek, and went and smote Israel, and possessed the city of palm trees. So the children of Israel served Eglon, the king of Moab, 18 years.
Now we're going to see about my next guy. And this is the one I really like, Ehud. Ehud was the second judge that we going to put on record here. And we're going to see how skillful this judge was. We're going to see how wise he was. We're going to see how fast he was, quick he was, all that. But go ahead, verse 15.
But when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised them up a deliverer, Ehud the son of Gera, a Benjamite, a man left-handed. And by him the children of Israel sent a present unto Eglon, the king of Moab.
So in the boxing world, they call him a southpaw. He was a left-handed dude. That just lets you know that was rare even then, because it brought attention to that. So this guy here left-handed. Go ahead.
But Ehud made him a dagger which had 2 edges, a cubit length.
So it's he had about a 18-inch knife. You know what I mean? Like, I guess you can call it a knife. It's about a sword. 18-inch dagger. Go ahead.
And he did gird it under his raiment upon his right thigh.
So he got his gear on, and he holding it like you would hold a pistol.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he got it inside his gut, he got it inside his clothes, and he's straight. That's how he packing. That's what they ain't got pistols. You see David with a slingshot.
Yeah.
My man got an 18-inch dagger. Go ahead.
And he brought the present unto Eglon, king of Moab. And Eglon was a very fat man. And when he had made an end to offer the present, he sent away the people that bear the present. But he himself turned again from the quarries that were by Gilgal, and said, I have a secret errand unto thee, O king, who said, keep silence. And all that stood by him went out from him.
Go ahead.
And Ehud came unto him, and he was sitting in a summer parlor. And when he had for himself alone, and Ehud said, I have a message from God unto thee. And he arose out of his seat,
Alright, so some say this is a bedroom or a bathroom. In my case, both of them. My room is bedroom and bathroom, so it really don't matter. But this is where Ehud was. He was in his little summer party. And, Eglon, thank you, bro. So Ehud say, he had a present. He done sent the people that came with him with the present and sent them away. And now he about to get down on. He about to deliver Israel what he about to do. Go ahead.
And Ehud put forth his left hand and took the dagger from his right thigh and thrust it into his belly.
Alright, so now Ehud, goes into the fat man room, Eglon, and he pull out his sword, his little dagger from his from his left side, right?
From his right thigh.
He took the dagger from his right thigh and thrust it into his belly. So he went ahead and killed him. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And 22. And the half also went in after the blade, and the fat closed upon the blade, so that he could not draw the dagger out of his belly, and the dirt came out.
Yeah, so he stabbed him. He stabbed him so deep. This dude was so fat, because 18 inches go through me. Dude was so fat, 18 inches went all the way up in him, and he couldn't even get his dagger out no more. I guess he had to make him another pistol. But go ahead, though.
Then Ehud went forth through the porch and shut the doors of the parlor upon him and locked them.
See, so now he dipping. He done shut the doors. He being crafty, being wise. This is one of our great black men, one of them quiet slept-on men. Because he walked in there and manipulated the guards so that he can go in there and kill their king. Go ahead, keep reading.
When he was gone out, his servants came. And when they saw that, behold, the doors of the parlor were locked, they said, surely he covered his feet in the summer chamber. And they tarried till they were ashamed. And behold, he opened not the doors of the parlor. Therefore they took a key and opened them. And behold, their Lord was falling down dead on the earth. And Ehud escaped while they tarried, and passed beyond the quarries, and escaped unto Serath.
See, he had dipped on him. So we been fast. It wasn't like we just not got fast. We been fast. Because they done went in there, and now they looking, they like, man, what is that? Looking out the window and stuff. They like, man, we don't know what they telling you done went off somewhere. He's safe. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, when he was come, that he blew a trumpet in the mount of Ephraim. And the children of Israel went down with him from the mount, and he before them. And he said unto them, follow after me, for the Lord hath delivered your enemies, the Moabites, into your hand.
So we got us another Nat Turner or something on the scene. He like, come on with me now. I done did the hard job. Now we finna handle the rest. Go ahead.
And they went down after him, and took the fords of Jordan toward Moab, and suffered not a man to pass over.
Mm-hmm.
And they slew of Moab at that time about 10,000 men, all lusty and all men of valor. And there escaped not a man.
So he ran through Moab. Ehud led them through. They killed 10,000 men. And we ain't talking about 10,000 men with AKs. We talking about this hand-to-hand combat. About the furthest distance we might be as a rock. And you better have good aim with that. So, I'm just trying to get you to see that this is the black man. Way before we came to America on these boats, we was able to go over there to that land and get down. We was able to go to that land and fight. We was able to destroy it. We was killers in that case. Let's go over to Judges 13. We're going to see about another man. This man here is declared to be the strongest man that ever lived. And when you read all his stories, you know what you find out? I ain't never known nobody with this kind of strength. I done seen the strongman contest. They moving cars and they doing that type of stuff. But this dude here literally moved a building. Like, just imagine going downtown to your city and standing in between two huge buildings and you just start pushing them and they move. Yeah, this is way colder than Superman on TV. You know what I'm saying? This dude here is really, if you want it for lack of a better word, he's gangster. For lack of a better word. This dude here was a bona fide killer. We're going to see about it. Judges 13, and let's pick it up at verse 1.
And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord. And the Lord delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years. And there was a certain man of Zorah, of the families of the Danites, whose name was Manoah. Mm-hmm. And his wife was barren and bare not. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto the woman and said unto her, behold now, thou art barren and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive and bear a son.
All right, that's good. So a lot of times when I go get these stories, I like to pick up a little intro on. So we see the Lord put the children of Israel back into captivity for 40 more years. So every time the children of Israel did wrong, the Lord kept putting them in captivity longer and longer and longer till we end up being in captivity permanent. Alright? So this time he says this guy, he's going to send Samson to deliver the children of Israel. And Samson is going to be what they call a Nazarite. A Nazarite is a man who, for a certain time period, don't drink no wine, nothing to come off the grape or off the vine. So there's no vinegar, nothing like that. And he's not gonna cut his hair. So that's Samson, alright? Let's skip over to verse 24. 24 and 25.
And the woman bare a son, and called his name Samson. And the child grew, and the Lord blessed him. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move him at times in the camp of Dan, between Zorah and Eshtaol.
Keep going.
And Samson went down to Timnath, and saw a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. And he came up and told his father and his mother, and said, I have seen a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. Now therefore get her for me to wife. Then his father and his mother said unto him, Is there never a woman among the children? Is there never a woman among the daughters of thy brethren, or among all my people, that thou goest to take a wife of the uncircumcised Philistines? And Samson said unto his father, Get her for me, for she pleaseth me. But his father and his mother knew not that it was of the Lord, that he sought an occasion against the Philistines. For at that time the Philistines had dominion over Israel. Then went Samson down, and his father and his mother, to Timnath, and came to the vineyards of Timnath. And behold, a young lion roared against him. And the Spirit of the Lord came up mightily upon him. And he rent him as he would rent a kid. And he had nothing in his hand. But he took not his father, but he told not his father or his mother what he had done.
Yeah, you might want to read that again. I'm not sure we caught that what just took place. Read that verse again.
Verse 6. And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him. Because the lion came against him. And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and he rent him as he would.
Start now. Read verse 5. Read the end of 5 again.
Yeah. Okay. Then went Samson down, and his father and his mother, to Timnath, and came to the vineyards of Timnath. And behold, a young lion roared against him.
So this Samson, his acts. It said the young lion came against Samson. Go ahead.
And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and he rent him as he would have rent a kid.
And he just tore him up like he would do a child. Go ahead.
And he had nothing in his hand.
And it's letting you know he ain't had nothing. It wasn't like, you know how they had the zoo trainer, you got the whip.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't need the whip.
Barehanded.
Yeah, I'm barehanded with this thing. I seen a lion stand a man up barehanded too. Like, no, straight I seen a tiger and a lion. You know, on these little National Geographic shows and stuff. And it's not a contest. Like, what I saw, it wasn't no contest. Them people, like, they body, like, marred permanently. But Samson, this dude here, said the Spirit of the Lord came on him. And this is showing you the power of God. That he can put the Spirit of God on you, and you can fight with a lion. He ain't the only one, though. Keep reading.
But he told not his father or his mother what he had done. And he went down and talked with the woman, and she pleased Samson well.
Keep going.
And after a time he returned to take her, and he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion. And behold, there was a swarm of bees and honey in the carcass of the lion.
That's good. Let's skip over to chapter 15. We really were supposed to just read 5 and 6 here, and we're supposed to read more of this chapter 15. 15 and verse 1.
But it came to pass within a while after, in the time of wheat harvest, that Samson visited his wife with a kid. And he said, I will go in to my wife into the chamber. But her father would not suffer him to go in. And her father said, I verily thought that thou hadst utterly hated her. Therefore I gave her to thy companion. Is not her younger sister fairer than she? Take her, I pray thee, instead of her.
So Samson got this woman that he was supposed to be married to. And the daddy act like, because I guess he was killing all these Philistines, act like Samson don't want his daughter no more. So the daddy go, get somebody else. Samson come back like, where my girl? I done gave her to somebody else. You want the daughter though? She cute. No, I don't want the daughter. So let's see what happened with Samson.
And Samson said concerning this, Now shall I be more blameless than the Philistines, though I do them a displeasure.
Right, he's like, I'm finna smash them. He like, but I'm gonna be blameless because of what they done did.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And Samson went and caught 300 foxes, and took firebrands, and turned tail to tail, and put a firebrand in the midst between the two tails. And when he had set the brands on fire, he let them go into the standing corn of the Philistines, and burnt up both the shocks and also the standing corn, with the vineyards and olives.
So the first move he pulled off was he got a whole bunch of foxes together, and I guess he put like a torch on them and ran them through the field. So you can just imagine foxes running through the fields with fire on their tail. They tearing up everything. You know, the cornfields is like the stand of corn, probably taller than us. Because Samson pissed. Keep reading up.
And then the Philistines said, "Who had done this?" And they answered, "Samson, the son-in-law of the Timnite, because he had taken his wife and given her to his companion." And the Philistines came up and burnt her and her father with fire.
So they done killed them. Now keep reading, because that's what piss them off.
And Samson said unto them, "Though ye have done this, yet will I be avenged of you, and after that I will cease." And he smote them hip and thigh with a great slaughter, and went down and dwelt in the top of the rock Etam. And the Philistines went up and pitched in Judah, and spread themselves in Lehi. And the men of Judah said, "Why are ye come up against us?" And they answered, "To bind Samson are we come up, to do to him as he hath done to us." Ooh, Lord. Then 3,000 men of Judah went to the top of the rock Edom,
You just brought some water, please.
and said to Samson, "Knowest thou not that the Philistines are ruler over us? What is this that thou hast done unto us?" And he said unto them, "As they did unto me, so have I done unto them."
Go ahead.
And they said unto him, "We are come down to bind thee, that we may deliver thee into the hand of the Philistines." And Samson said to them, "Swear unto me that ye will not fall upon me yourselves." And they spake unto them, saying, "No, we will bind thee fast and deliver thee into their hand, but surely we will not kill thee." And they bound him with 2 new cords and put him upon the rock. And when he came unto Lehi, the Philistines shouted against him, and the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him. And the cords that were upon his arms became as flax that was burnt with fire, and his bands loosed from off his hands.
All right, now pay attention to this part of the story. Go ahead, bro.
Okay. I'm sorry, man.
Go ahead, bro.
16,
15.
15. And he found a new jawbone of an ass, and put forth his hand, and took it, and slew 1,000 men therewith.
So now we see he took a jawbone, and he smashed 1,000 men with this jawbone. Go ahead.
And Samson said, "With the jawbone of an ass, heaps upon heaps, and with the jawbone of an ass have I slain 1,000 men." And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking, that he cast away the jawbone out of his hand, and called that place Ramoth Lehi.
Okay, that's good. All right, so let's skip on over to 1 Kings, because we took a look at some of the men, you know, some of the judges, and you can take your time to read all the different judges and what they did. There was a sister in there. She tricked this white guy and got him in her room and smashed a nail through his head, and they did all kind of stuff back there. But we're gonna look at some of the riches though, as we look at this nation. And when we look at these riches, we're gonna see riches like we ain't never seen before. 1 Kings chapter 9, and let's start this at verse 26 and 20. We're going to go from 26 to 28.
And King Solomon made a navy of ships in Ezion-Geber, which is beside Elah, on the shore of the Red Sea, in the land of Edom. And Hiram sent in the navy his servants, shipmen that had knowledge of the sea, with the servants of Solomon. And they came to Ophir, and fetched from thence gold 420 talents, and brought it to King Solomon.
Okay. Now, just so y'all know, a talent is the equivalent of 66 pounds. So we keep that in mind. Talent equals 66 pounds. Now, I'm just going to tell you right now, an ounce of gold, I looked this up last night, an ounce, would you take 16 ounces to make 1 pound. And we got, for 1 pound, we got 66 pounds of gold is 1 talent. And it said, and they came to Ophir and fetched from thence gold 420 talents and brought it. So They went down to Ophir. An ounce of gold. Now we got some more numbers somewhere else, and I'm gonna show you what he was making a year. I didn't do these numbers. I probably could have. I should have. But an ounce of gold is 1,581 dollars per pound. 1 ounce of gold, pure gold, not 14 karat, but pure gold. All right. And it takes 16 ounces to make a pound. 66 pounds make a ton. And they got 20. It said 420 talents. So 420 talents, we talking about is, let's see if I can do the math real quick. 420 times 66 is, let's see, 6 times 2, 12, 24, 25, 2, 5, 2, 0. So you're talking about 20, we're talking about 27,000, we're talking about 27,000 pounds. And then when you multiply that by 16, you can figure out, and then you got to multiply that by 1,581, and you can find out how much that's worth today. But we're going to see how much he was making a year, but that's out there. You know, we can figure that out in a little bit, but that's way out there. And this is what he had. So they came into Ophir, they fetched this gold, 420 talents, and brought it to King Solomon. All right? Keep going.
And when the queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to prove him with hard questions. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels that bear spices, and very much gold, and precious stones. And when she was come to Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart.
So she come, and she, you know, Sheba is from down in Ethiopia, as they say. And she come, and she basically giving her everything that's on his mind. She wanted to talk to this wise man, because it said, the book say that Solomon was the wisest man on all the earth. So go ahead, keep reading.
And Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hid from the king which he told her not.
Mm-hmm.
And when the queen of Sheba had seen all Solomon's wisdom, and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his ascent by which he went up unto the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her.
So when she saw this, she was just like in super awe.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is a queen. This ain't a peasant or somebody who ain't never been nowhere. This one queen walking up in another king's house, and she like, damn, I ain't getting it like this. Keep reading though.
And she said to the king, it was a true report that I heard in mine own land of thy acts and of thy wisdom. Howbeit I believed not the words until I came, and my eyes have seen it. And behold, the half was not told me. Thy wisdom and thy prosperity exceeded the fame which I heard. Happy are thy men, happy are these thy servants, which stand continually before thee, and that hear thy wisdom. Blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighteth in thee, to set thee on the throne of Israel. Because the Lord loved Israel forever. Therefore made he thee king, to do judgment and justice.
So this is the kind of king we got. And it said here, remember we read earlier, it said that your wisdom in the sight of the nations was going to be the keeping of these commandments. So now we got this woman, she like, happy are your men and your servants, they stand continually before thee, and they hear your wisdom. This is a black man, y'all. I want you to understand that. This is a black man running this place. And it said that this God must really love Israel to put a dude like you over his people. Keep reading.
10. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and of spices very great store.
So she done gave the king 120 talents of gold on this run. So if we do the math work, 66 times 120, 66 times 120 here. We got 6 and 2s, 12, 1, 6, 7, 7, 2, 0, 0, 2, 9. So you're talking about 7,900 pounds. Go. That's what she gave. We talking about, this is the riches that he got. Keep going though.
And precious stones. And there came no more such abundant of spices as these which the queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon.
So now and what we keep throwing out is the weight on the gold. You know what I'm saying? Like he getting spices and he getting all kind of other stuff. This is what's accumulating in his kingdom right now. So we done seen twice thousands of pounds of gold. And remember, an ounce of gold right now costs $1,500. An ounce of gold is not that heavy. You know what I mean? So it costs an ounce of silver, just so you know, it'll drop. It's down to like 20 and some change. It was at 40 a couple months ago. It'll probably go back up though. But it's fluctuating around. Okay? So this is what your riches is valued in life. Is your gold and your silver. You understand that, young man? Sit up there. Keep reading.
And the navy also of Hiram that brought gold from Ophir brought in from Ophir great plenty of almug trees and precious stones.
They bring in all kind of stuff. Almug trees, precious stones. Go ahead.
And the king made of the almug trees pillars for the house of the Lord, and for the king's house. Harps also and psalteries for singers. There came no such almug trees, nor were seen until this day.
Go ahead.
And King Solomon gave unto the queen of Sheba all her desire, whatsoever she asked, besides that which Solomon gave her of his royal bounty.
Go ahead.
So she turned and went to her own country, she and her servants.
Keep reading.
Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents of gold.
Now, for some reason, that came out to be 666. I ain't know why, but it is so much gold he got 1 year. So I did the math work so we could figure out how much actually this gold is worth. So it says 666 talents of gold. And remember, we understand that 666. You multiply that by 66 pounds. I mean, you got about 66 pounds because that's how much a talent is. A talent is 66 pounds. All right. Then, once you figure that out, we're going to get a total of, and I did the math already, 43,956 pounds. So that's how many pounds of gold he got in 1 year. And when you do the math on that, which is 15, you're going to multiply that by $1,500, or because an ounce is $15.81. You're going to get some crazy number, but basically, it's $1.1 billion. So that's how much money that Solomon picked up in 1 year. We got 666 was the amount of talents. We got 66 talents make a pound. That came out to 43,000. Then some kind of way, I did the math work. Some kind of way, basically, and when we put this on the internet, you know, we'll have it all cleared up for you.